we'll be recording tonight. So I want to welcome you again and go ahead and turn it over to Marty.
All right. Hey, thanks you guys for coming on and hanging with us. And as Peggy said, this is the third of 4-part series. The last one, though, we're not going to do next Thursday because our sense was there might be people that would be too full or sleeping by this point in the day if you're having some Thanksgiving turkey. We will, though, it's December 3rd is the final of the 4 sessions. So again, the same time, 6:30 to 7:30. Tonight we have 3 areas that we want to look at, and I changed things up just a little bit, probably from the original information that went out. So Vicki and Peggy and Jessica, thank you for your flexibility on that. Tonight we're going to look at outlasting. We're going to look at problem solving to learn and grow, and we're going to look at family meetings, and Linda is going to lead us through how to hold family meetings and the purpose of family meetings. But I want to start first with, for the last couple of weeks, we've talked about helping our children with calming activities. We've talked about helping our children with how to have words to let us know how they're feeling, being able to articulate their words through timing, exact words, tone of voice, body language, and proximity, which proximity means where to go when. And we've talked about pre-coaching kids because when kids show us patterns of behavior, they'll fall into 1, 2, or 3 of 3 areas. I can be angry, upset, or overwhelmed and make good choices. I can be okay when others around me are not okay. And I can do things when I don't want to or it's hard. And what we know for success as children grow and become young adults and go through life, those 3 skills are pretty critical beyond just helping them be smart human beings. So we talked about the pre-coaching of that. Tonight, what we're going to, though, focus on is outlasting. And I hit on it minimally last week, and I'm going to invite Linda for you to jump in as well on this. But last week, we talked a little bit about, as humans, we are not capable of being emotional and logical at the same time. And when we get emotional, our brains shut down and become survival mode. And so when our children become emotional, the other thing we talked about, forgive me for not being articulate. The other thing we talked about was that as humans, we mirror emotions. And so we tend to mirror the strongest emotion in the room. So as parents, one of the things we're always striving for is helping our children be calm and strategies to de-escalate. But when children are escalated, we have to give them time to de-escalate. So our number 1 priority when children are escalated is safety. That is always our number 1 priority. Because there are children who get escalated enough, they become physically aggressive, either toward people or items. And we want to make sure that everyone is safe. But sometimes I think we're in such a hurry to do problem solving and to get things fixed, and we need to move on with the schedule of our day, whatever that may be, that we try to fix things at the time. Tonight, what we're going to talk about is allowing kids to de-escalate and going back and revisiting with them. And the revisiting is the problem solving that we're going to go over tonight with some very specific steps around problem solving. And a real key in our problem solving is asking questions versus giving information. And so now I'm going to back up just a little bit. And really, if you think about why kids get in trouble in the first place, there are 3 reasons why kids get in trouble in the first place. The first reason is this: they don't have information. And so as parents, we want to be clear about giving information through our expectations, making sure that kids understand what our expectation is and any task we might ask them to achieve in any routine that we're trying to set. We want to be clear about our expectations, okay? However, you're going to have kids, your own children at times are going to have the information and still get in trouble. The second reason we know that kids struggle and get in trouble or get out of bounds, might be a better way to say it, is because they're testing limits. And what we know is when kids test limits, they need consistency. And I think consistency is Linda and myself spend the bulk of our time in schools working with teachers, helping provide consistency to kids in schools. And I think providing consistency at home is harder because as a parent, you're always multitasking. And so being consistent about just redirecting your child once or asking them to do something and then being consistent about following through and making sure they do what they've been asked to do, I think it's harder in a household setting than it is in a school setting. So when kids test limits, what we know they need is consistent boundaries and consistent follow through. The third reason kids get in trouble is because they can't manage feelings. And so, what happens with human nature is this: as adults, most of us, most of the time, are able to have a feeling, a very overwhelming feeling, and we have a behavior that is not connected to that. For example, if I'm upset or overwhelmed, I tend to go work outside in the yard. That's my go to. And I can be angry or upset, go work outside in the yard, and then I can come back in and be logical about whatever the problem was. But what happens with some kids, and as parents, it's you that help them develop the ability to have an emotion that is disconnected from a behavior. What happens with some kids, and it's developmentally appropriate with young children, is they have an overwhelming feeling that is fused to a behavior. And so they get upset. They don't know how to manage that in an appropriate way. Well, a 2-year-old doesn't know how to manage being angry in an appropriate way. So they tend to tantrum. Then you, as a parent, are teaching them what's okay and what's not okay to do when they're angry. Okay. And so if we think about kids who continuously get in trouble, we want to look at the patterns of their behavior. Okay. And their patterns of the behavior will fall into one, two, or three of the three skills I just named. Again, I'm going to go back and say those again. We want kids to have the ability to have an overwhelming feeling, angry, frustrated, embarrassed, excited, and still be able to make good choices. Secondly, we want kids to be able to be okay when others aren't okay. And that could be retaliation. I don't like what you called me, so I retaliate on you. Or it could be peer pressure. And anybody that's had a middle school child has been well aware of peer pressure and hope you've taught your own children to have enough a value system and a strong enough will to stay out of things they should not be involved in, right? And then the third skill is being able to do things when they don't want to or it's hard. And that can vary from anything like household chores or routines to being able to hold your body still. And we talked about the calming activities last week, and that would fall under it's hard. It may not be that I don't want to hold still, it may be that it's simply hard for me to be in control of my body. Okay. So if we know that when kids get in trouble repetitiously, it will fall into one of those three skills. And we, as the parents, have the obligation to begin to teach our kids those skills. So, tonight, what we're going to talk about is first, the outlasting is allowing a child to be escalated and come out of that escalation, but then come back and problem solve. And I'm going to steal a line from Linda that I love. She says, accountability has no statute of limitations. And so when our children have been out of bounds and done the wrong thing, what we want to do as parents is follow up and problem solve with them. Now, you've heard me call it two different things. It's the same concept. First, I called it problem solving. Then I called it accountability. Then I called it problem solving again. Okay. And really, what we're doing is problem solving for accountability. And I want to spend just a minute talking about true accountability, because I think in our society, when we think about accountability, there's kind of a negative connotation tied to that. And we want people to understand that accountability is actually the greatest gift we can give our children. Accountability is the ability to reflect on yourself and the mistakes you make and how to begin to correct those mistakes. And we assist children in achieving accountability through problem solving. Okay. And so tonight, Linda's going to be mom, and I'm going to be the teenage daughter that got home after curfew. And I can't believe I have to have a curfew. God, I'm 16. Okay. And she's going to problem solve with me. And I want you to pay attention to a couple of things. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is her tone. Now, because we're role playing, her tone's not going to have emotion in it. As a parent, you will have more emotion than you see Linda display. But one of our goals in problem solving is to do it logically through questions and not through anger or emotion. Okay. Now, here's the other thing. When I came home late after curfew, there's a good chance Linda, mom, could be emotional because she was worried about me. Okay. Anxiety will come out as anger. And so we want to be self reflective as the adults when we're having emotion. We want to make sure that we can place the emotion in the right category, because anger is never a primary emotion. It's always a secondary emotion that is frequently driven by fear or anxiety. Okay. Now, when I get home, you'll see that Linda's going to stay non emotional, but rather logical. Two, I want you to pay attention to, she asked me questions instead of telling me information. Because here's the thing, I've had a curfew since I was able to leave her side and go do activities on my own. So I know the information about the curfew. And by the way, before I went to the movie and went out with my friends, she made sure that I knew right before I left what time my curfew was. So she could come back and give me information about my curfew, which will invite me to argue about whether that's a good curfew or not. So watch how she does not give me information about the curfew during the problem solving, but rather she asks me questions about it. And the third thing is, I want you to pay attention to the resolution that we come to, because her resolution will involve consequences, but not consequences necessarily of being grounded or never being able to go out with my friends again, consequences that are directly related to what I couldn't manage, which was coming home on time for curfew. Okay. So I'm going to go through this. And again, I think Kimberly is maybe typing in the chat. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's Kimberly is typing in the chat. And Kimberly, maybe you can keep up with this and maybe you can't. And parents, you may be trying to take notes. If that's what you want to do, fine. If not, again, Peggy will receive this handout directly after the session and be able to send it out to you. But when we problem solve with kids, there are a few steps that we want to go through. Okay. Now, accountability, and we arrive at accountability through problem solving. And I already said this, accountability is one of the kindest things we can do for our kids, but because as humans, we resist it, and we resist it in two ways. We deny or we blame. Okay. And you'll hear both when Linda and I role play. Because it is so hard, the only way you can truly arrive at complete accountability with children is through kindness. You can't get there through anger, because anger allows them to resist more. Okay. And so the steps, number one, is to reconnect your relationship. I have been angry with Linda. She, without showing me, was probably frustrated with me as well. But she's going to reconnect the relationship to reassure me that she still cares deeply about me. Okay. Second, she's going to alleviate my fear or my anxiety through letting me know she's not angry, but we do have to problem solve. Three, she's going to ask me to own the problem I created. Four, she is going to help me recognize how I created concern for her. Okay. And then five, she's going to problem solve for a solution. And 6, apologize. I will need to do the apology. Okay. Now, having said that, there is a 7th step on occasion that's
Marty,
called
sorry.
restitution.
This is Kimberly. I
Yeah.
got 1, 2, and 3. Can you do 4, starting at 4 again?
Yep. 4 is recognition of how I created the concern, of what concern I created, or what problem I created. 5 is problem solving to a solution. And 6 is apology. Thank you, Kimberly. Now, I started to say there is sometimes a 7th step, which is called restitution. For example, if I broke toys in my room as a younger child, or I messed up my bedroom as a younger child, part of my restitution might be helping clean the house. So restitution is actually bigger than the problem the child creates. And I'm not going to spend time on that right this second because I'm going to let Linda pick up on that in a minute. Okay. So now here's the scenario. I went to the movie with my friends and we had such a good time. And I was supposed to be home at a certain time and I didn't make it, but we had really good reasons. And I didn't call mom because I didn't even think about it. I was having so much fun. So I arrived home after curfew. So Linda, you want to talk about how you will address me first. And then she's not going to be able to problem solve with me because I'm going to get too mad about it.
So to finish setting this up just a teensy bit, let's say Marty's curfew is 11 o'clock. She walks in happy as a lark at 11:15. So my greeting to her is, oh, Marty, honey, I am so glad you are home and that you are safe.
I know, Mom, we had the best time tonight. It was so fun.
I am so glad you had a good time. I don't want you to worry about anything tonight. I'm not angry with you. I want you to get a good night's sleep and we'll probably have to talk about it tomorrow.
What we got to talk about?
Well, I'll let you think on it. I love you. Sleep well.
What? God, Mom, we always have to talk. I hate talking. Okay. Now I don't sleep tonight because I know Mom's going to talk to me tomorrow, right?
Amen.
Okay. And I get up early because I'm trying to make my bed and I'm even going to take my breakfast dishes to the sink today because I want Mom to forget that I was a naughty girl last night.
And you probably pour me a cup of coffee. You even take my dishes to the sink.
All of that.
So, again, here's where we have to live out that accountability doesn't have an expiration date or a statute of limitations. Let's say we have places to be. Let's say it was Saturday night and our family were getting up, we're getting ready to head to church. Not that you all have to do that, but I'm just using that as an excuse. I mean, as an example. And so it's not the best time. Remember, Marty talked a little bit about timing of our words. It's not the best time to problem solve before the family has to go somewhere. So Marty is 16. She knows good and well what we need to talk about. So we've come home, we've had lunch, we cleared up the dishes. And so.
Oh my gosh, I'm tired. I think I might go lay down for a little bit.
You know what, Marty, that would be just fine. What I'd like to know is if you're ready to talk now.
What? What we got to talk about? I thought church was great today.
It was great. So what do you think we have to talk about? Are you ready now or do you need a little bit more time?
Oh my God, you want to talk about last night?
Yeah, I'm glad that you remembered.
I was 15 minutes late.
I know.
Nobody else has an 11 o'clock curfew.
You know what? I can see that you're upset. I'm going to
I'm
give you.
not upset. I don't know why I'm the one that has to be home earlier than everybody, all my other friends. They get to stay out till midnight.
And I don't know if you heard me because of her little plethora of words there, right, Mark? But I had already said, I can see it's too hard right now. I'll give you more time. So I would have exited the kitchen and left her to finish loading the dishwasher on her own. Because
need more time. Oh.
So I will wait until the dishwasher is loaded. She's exited the kitchen and now she's plopped down in the recliner in the living room, and I'm going to try and connect our relationship again. It's probably been 15, 20 minutes. Hey, Marty, you're doing a really great job of sitting in the chair. Are you calm and ready to talk?
Yes.
Good. I know it's going to feel hard, and I don't want you to worry that you're in trouble, but we do need to talk about what I was worried about last night.
Well,
What-
I know you were worried because I came home late, and I know I was supposed to call you, but honestly, I just forgot to call. And I didn't even realize I was going to be that late. And Mom, this is true. We had to stop at Quick Trip because Sally needed some girl stuff. It was an emergency.
Okay. Life happens, doesn't it? And emergencies take place, don't they?
Yes. Yeah. So
I
it was a good reason.
I understand completely, and I even understand why it feels frustrating, because do you think I was worried you were doing something wrong, or I was worried that you might not even be safe?
You were probably worried that I wasn't safe. I mean, not doing something wrong, but like you were probably worried that something happened.
Right. So what time, Marty, do I expect you to be home?
11. But Mom, nobody else has to be home at 11.
What time do I expect you to be home?
11.
And were you able to be home at 11, or were you late?
I was late.
And when you know that you're going to be running late, what's the expectation?
I need to either call or text you.
Exactly. And did either one of those things happen?
No.
Thank you. You're doing a great job being honest, Marty. I know this feels bad. And so
But
why
Mom,
do you think not-
seriously, like this is the first time this has happened.
It is, Marty. And you have usually done a really good job. You're a great kid. I have no worries that you're doing right or wrong things because I trust you. However, why do you think that I was so worried when you walked in the front door?
Because you thought something might have happened. But
Exactly.
nothing happened, Mom.
And I'm so glad that it didn't, Marty. So now that you're able to tell me why I was worried, and even if it feels unfair, why do you think it's important for you to be home on time?
So that you can continue to trust me and so that you don't have to worry that something is wrong.
Exactly. And, you know, we just call that common courtesy in our house, don't we?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh, it's going to be okay. So next time, because I'm sure you have lots of friends, right, Mark?
I got so many. I'm like one of the most popular girls at school.
I know you are. And
And even
one thing
like the boys and the girls, they all like me.
they do. And one thing I really want to let you know that I appreciate is that your choice of friends so far has really been good. I'm really proud of the friends that you've chosen to hang out with. And I'm also proud that you cared about Sally enough to make a stop for her. So really the only problem in doing that kind thing for Sally was that what happened that, or should have happened that didn't.
I didn't let you know.
Exactly. So what do you think needs to happen next weekend when it's also time to maybe do things with your friends again?
I need to make sure that I'm gonna be home on time.
Exactly. And to help you with that, would you rather Dad drive you there or I drive you to wherever you're
What? What?
and it's
That's embarrassing, Mom. I won't have any friends after that.
well, I'm sorry it feels that way.
Oh my God.
So here are your options, and you can choose Dad or me, or choose to stay home, and any of those choices are fine.
Okay, but like we're going to the mall and can you just drop me off like at the far end of the parking lot?
I'll be happy to drop you off at the entrance.
Will Dad drop me off at the other end of the parking lot?
What do you think he will say?
He always does what you say. He'll say no.
Because we're just a team, aren't we? And I know it feels embarrassing and hard, but do you think that I'm doing this because I'm angry with you, or I want you to be certain that you'll always remember to call me when you're
I
going to
promise. I promise. If I'm gonna be late, I promise I'll call you.
And I believe you with all my
Can you give
heart.
me one more chance?
To help you remember, I'm not taking away any of your privileges with your friends, but to help you remember, It's going to be dad or me or stay home.
Dad, because Sally thinks he's funny.
And yeah, I would agree. He thinks he's funny too.
I don't think he's that funny when he's dropping me off at the door.
I know it's going to be hard, but I'm glad you were able to make a choice, because I know that felt pretty awkward and unfair. So thank you for being respectful, even though you didn't like it, Marty. When you have caused someone to worry, what's the next step? What do you need to do to fix it?
I need to apologize to you about how I responded.
Are you ready to do that now?
I gotta apologize to you for, one, being late, but then two, getting disrespectful.
You are awesome. Are you ready to take care of both of those right now?
Yeah, Mom, I'm sorry I was late. And next time I'll either be on time or let you know where I am. And I'm also sorry for getting so frustrated and a little bit disrespectful. So next time I'll use my calm voice. That's hard for me though.
I know, but you're really making great strides. You're doing better.
I'll use my calm voice. And can you accept my apology, Mom?
Yes, I always forgive you, Marty. Thank you.
Okay. Questions, thoughts, comments, because I want to go backwards a little bit. Any thoughts or comments before we go to the next concept?
Well,
What you got there, sister?
well, my problem would be I want to ask questions about your story. So I have to remember not to ask questions about your story. That would be my downfall.
Questions about my story as far as, was it accurate?
Yeah, I think it gets me sidetracked if like I said.
Oh, about Sally needing
About
specific
Sally.
female items.
Yeah, like what time of night was that? Or something. But
So Peggy,
I'm sorry.
no, that's a really good comment. And I think
Yeah,
kids
it
are
is.
great at throwing things at us to get us sidetracked.
Right. And then somebody in the chat said, why make her wait to talk? I did like that, but I was going to ask how many of us listening to you would have waited till the next day, but why make her wait to talk?
You want me to answer that one?
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
Well, two reasons. Number one, if she's there at 11:15, it's probably going close to 11:30 by the time she's actually in the house, used the bathroom, and we're even addressing anything. And so the chances are, in the moment, because she will feel defensive, she's liable to escalate. And I would just rather not lose sleep and wake the entire house up. So another thing is that sometimes psychologically and emotionally, especially for older children, the best thing to do is to give them wait time. So did you notice that I told her that I was just so happy that she was home, and that I let her know we were going to have to talk about it, but that we were going to do that tomorrow. So those were the reasons for that.
Kim, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah. First, I'm just Kim, and I've been through this. Thank God my kids are no longer in the house. And I'm telling you, they come in the house. I'm okay. Let me just say, KK, because she was the one. Kayla, I'm mad. Yep, I'm mad. You didn't listen to me. You're gonna talk right now, and maybe I'm in my emotion, but I don't care how you feel. You ain't going to sleep, and we're gonna talk about why you were late, what you were doing, and I get that she may escalate, but I'm gonna escalate right with her, and she gonna pull it down. I mean, just in my house, I don't know about nobody else. If she escalate, she coming back down. Anybody that knows me know she coming. That's it. She gonna get down to the. I saw it. I hear what you're saying.
Can I be honest with you, Kim? I'm not always that calm, and I've escalated myself before. I've raised my voice. I've had to apologize myself later for screaming like a screaming Mimi, because if it's not okay for my kids to raise their voice at me, neither is it okay for me to lose my temper and take my anger out in emotion, frustration on them. So I have to be transparent enough to model but it's okay to say, I was scared to death. I was really worried. But my reasoning, and Marty, I'm going to invite you to correct me if I'm wrong, please. But my reasoning from a parent, not even from a BIST consultant standpoint, but from a parent's perspective, is if I get angry and we have, and not physically, but I'm going to say a knockdown drag out, it takes longer for my child to come back around to accountability, because in the meantime, they get to blame me for being angry, and they get to blame me for losing it and blame me for yelling. And it kind of just sometimes gets in the way of their ability to focus solely 100% on their behavior and what they did or did not do. So I hope that, now, and I'm not asking you to do anything differently. I'm just explaining to you that that is the
Well,
purpose of.
They're grown and out the house, and so I do nothing
So
now.
hallelujah.
Thank God. Thank
Kim,
God.
apparently if they're out of the house, you did something right, sister.
Can I say something?
Sure.
My kids are grown and out of the house too, and I was a younger parent, so I was like Kim. I was that, no, we getting ready to talk about it now. But I think it's important that even if, because I believe, Marty, you said in the beginning that sometimes our emotion, like, so if I'm yelling in it, not because I'm angry, it's because the anxiety, I was nervous, I was scared. So I think it's important that if that should happen, then I need to go back and apologize if I'm yelling and explain that the reason I was yelling is not because I was angry, but because I was scared, or because I thought maybe something had happened to you. Because I feel like if our kids see us and hear us apologize, then they understand that their emotions are valid and your feelings are valid. And sometimes we do behave based on our emotions rather than our true feelings.
And that, yes, I agree 100%.
That is a great point. And I do think you're not going to be a parent without emotion. It's too hard a job to never have emotion. Now, Kim, back to what you said, though, I do believe waiting to have a conversation, it may not be important to wait every single time. There may be times you need to have conversations right now, especially if you think there was, it wasn't me being safe, it was me doing the wrong thing. There are times to have conversations right now, okay? But I do think some of our most productive conversations, in particular with teenagers, come when everybody has calmed down, when we are able to problem solve through the event. And I think that it's much easier for children to be accountable and honest about what they've done when they've been given time away from the situation. Okay. And so, Kim, I am not disagreeing with what you're saying. There are times we're going to have this conversation right now. Okay. There are also times that it's a more productive or can be a more productive conversation when we postpone it. Okay. So I want to go back to, there's two things in chat that I want to make sure I hit on. One is Vicky wants to know, what if I was blatant disrespect? Okay. Like hours late, that's probably a pretty big deal, right? So if I'm hours late, what's going to happen? And another thing I want to make sure we hit on, what
in danger? They don't.
Yeah, what about how about how to make sure they will call when in danger, but they're worried about being in trouble? Okay, so Linda, let's back it up. And I was hours late, okay? Which means your anxiety has skyrocketed. And I'm trying to slip in the door because I want to slip in quietly.
Oh, Marty. Oh, thank God you're home.
Oh yeah, Mom, I know I'm late. I know I'm late.
Do you realize what time it is?
Well, I know it's 2:00.
Yes.
But we were at Sally's and then we were watching a movie and I fell asleep.
Yeah. So I don't want you to worry about any of this. And Kim, this is for you. I don't want you to worry about any of this tonight. I love you. I'm glad you're home safe, and I will be we'll check it all out. We'll just verify everything.
God, Mom, you can call Sally.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
You call
I
Sally's
would
mom.
still, now, if I was really,
Hate
really
this
sweet,
house.
another approach to that would be, I'm gonna pretend you really weren't at Sally's, okay, Bart? So just go with me. So tell me, I'm sorry, go ahead and tell me the spiel again. You fell asleep, you were at Sally's.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so late. I was at Sally's and I fell asleep. We were watching a movie and then I fell asleep.
Marty, I know that you told me you were at Sally's, and you're right, that's where you were supposed to be. What do you think her mom said when I called her?
Oh my God. Why you always gotta check up on me? I'm
It's a great
16,
question, Marty.
Mom.
I
At some
understand.
point, I gotta grow up a little.
I agree. I agree.
God,
So do you think I called her? What do you think I hoped her mom's answer would be when I called?
I don't even know. I don't know why you're always checking up on me.
Okay,
Can't you just trust me
say-
once in a while?
we're gonna say goodnight.
I'm an adult.
So here's where I would traditionally say there's the door, but not really. So we are going to, because she is 16. So in Missouri anyway, where I live, 16 means I'm still legally and socially and financially responsible for her. So, Marty, back to our thing. I'm going to tell her, because how many of you can tell she's getting escalated? And there are 7 other people sleeping in the house. And I'm suspicious that perhaps that she was not at Sally's because she's been out and maybe had a little something to drink or some other little something.
Mom,
So-
seriously, Sally's mom is crazy. She probably didn't even know we were down in the basement. She's
So-
crazy, Mom.
Marty, I can tell this is getting kind of hard.
It's not hard. I just don't want no way you always treat me like a baby.
So I'll let you be thinking about 2 things. What do you, the first one is, what answer do you think I hoped Sally's mom would give me when I checked on you?
I told you
number
she's
2,
crazy.
And the second thing, Marty, is what do you think that we need to do so none of this happens again? And I will talk to you in the morning. Good night.
Oh, hate this house. Hope everybody wakes up. Okay, what do you want to do now, Vicky?
And let me just throw in there, if she did happen to wake anybody up, her gift to the family would be that she would be doing several other family members' chores to make restitution for waking them up unjustly in the middle of the night. So that's kind of a jump. But if she did wake the whole house up, there would be not only an apology, but there would be some serious restitution, not only to me, but to whoever she woke up. She would be doing assigned and intentional acts of kindness for them by doing their chores as to make up for waking them up.
Thoughts, comments, questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So if she came in at 2, that means my anxiety is at like 22. How exactly, I mean, I'd have to do a whole lot of soul searching to be that calm when she walks in the door.
Oh, I
So-
guarantee you, I probably would not be. My husband at best would be woke up and come down to make sure I was all right and make sure that we were all right.
So how do you bring yourself, if you're going to send her to bed, because even if I send him to bed, I have to come down now.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'm still dealing with, now I'm going from relief, anger, now mad because she respected me. So
I can
now I got
so
several
identify
emotions
with
going on right now.
You're terrified that something has happened, and then when they walk in the door, you're relieved, and then you're so mad you want to hurt them yourself.
Right. Because especially
because
if they
we're
get
fine.
smart.
Yes. So, I mean, how many of you, let's be honest, how many of you in your Instagram reaction would want to reach out and touch them? You know, but
And I had boys.
Yes, but would that solve the problem, or would that just create a new one?
It'll stabilize the problem for a moment. It'll give me peace for a moment.
It give you a little bit of relief
A
there.
little bit. But again, I have to go back and apologize, but they need to know why they got touched. I was afraid, and then you came in and act like I didn't have a right to be afraid.
Right.
So you
so-
you disregarded my feeling.
I am absolutely not saying that learning how to rein in your emotions and put on your professional parent face, your poker face, if you want to call it that, it is not easy. It is absolutely not easy. But again, she will be accountable for all the things that she said to me, and for not being where she was supposed to be, then lying about where she said she was, and then being disrespectful. But in the heat, and I say heat, of that emotional moment, we can't move forward. Nothing will be gained.
So we have actually talked right up until, I'm not sure we're gonna have time, Peggy, for the family meetings. However,
Sorry.
I do want to say this. You are going to be emotional as a parent. One, because you're so worried, and then you're relieved, and then you're so angry because they weren't respectful enough to let you know. Okay. You are going to be angry. But keep in mind, whether it's at the moment or whether it's later, what we're striving for is accountability. And for the child to be accountable for their actions. And accountability starts with the honesty. And honesty is more easily achieved when there's not emotion, because kids can hide in their anger and stay out of the honesty. Okay. And so what we want to do is, the other thing is, I'm going to be accountable for my anger toward Linda, mom. I'm going to be accountable for my lying about where I was.
Mhm.
I'm going to be accountable for not being respectful of curfew and contacting her. So I have about 4 or 5 things there that I'm going to be accountable for. Okay. And we might try and take it on right at the moment, or we might postpone it. But honesty comes much quicker when there's less emotion. Now, if Linda loses her cool, mom loses her cool with me, she's probably going to need to come back and just like you said, Tara, right? Just like you said, I'll apologize because I want kids to see what it means. And modeling apologies for kids is such a significant part of parenting, right? But she's going to be accountable for her anger toward me or how she responded to me as well. But I've got a lot of accountability to make up for here. And honestly, if I kept mom up all night, because you're right, your anxiety is this high, and then you're relieved, and then you're furious because your child is okay and didn't let you know and was disrespectful about that, you're probably not going to sleep because your emotions have been so high. So I'm probably going to have to do a lot of work for Linda tomorrow afternoon when she takes a nap. So I may be taking care of the dinner dishes, the lunch dishes or whatever. Okay. So what we want to try and do is, you gotta pay me back. You owe me here because you kept me up all night. So there's a lot of components that go into this. What other thoughts, comments? I see there's one more in chat. That's right, Vicky. That's right. We got to learn to be okay when others aren't okay. And that sometimes I talked about kids and other kids, but I didn't talk about parents and their children not being okay, right? So we're talking in ideals here, and parenting is not an ideal all the time situation. But we also want to know what it can look like when we're not emotional, when we're more logical, what it can look like so that accountability can be achieved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's all the things I've been learning these last couple of weeks too, is it's a skill that I have to practice.
Yes.
You know, and if I told Scott, you know, I'm going to talk to you in the morning, he'd probably look at me like, she's not going to do it right now. So he's probably going to go to bed worrying more, you know, or something like that. So
You'll think I'm in big trouble.
yeah, I switched the way I usually do it. So that would be one thing I would think about, but it's a skill that I would have to think about. And Tara talking about sharing your emotions. When I was a younger parent, are, younger, I didn't do any of that. I didn't, in our family, we didn't do that, say I'm mad, I'm scared to death that something happened to you. I would just be mad. So those are words that are different for me. So it's a skill that I would have to learn, and I'd have to remember the other sessions where you said deep breathing, how to calm myself down. So
Peggy, I want to just respond to what you're saying. This is not something that I think comes incredibly naturally. I think it takes effort. I think it takes practice, and it's certainly not going to be perfect. Although I will tell you, as a parent, Linda's pretty darn close to working with her own children, just like she is here. And the reason being, she's had a lot of practice. And many of those were not her own biological children. So she had to be even more intentional because of the fragility of the relationship when it's a foster child. And when it's a biological child, you have more leeway, okay? Because that's unconditional. And so I want to make sure that we're clear on that as well. When it's your own biological child, there is more leeway for emotion, although more problem solving occurs without emotion. But Linda has, honestly, what you see from Linda is what her children see as well, just simply because she's had years of practice and she understands the fragility of the relationship with foster children. So, hey, I'm going to move us just real quick. Linda, we've just got 13 minutes here. And if we need to retouch on this next week, we can. But Linda, will you jump into some family meetings? And then honestly, if we need to go back and do some role play again next week, maybe even a younger child would be helpful. Okay. We can go back and do that. But I want to make sure that, because I've messed with the schedule a little bit, that we do hit on family meetings tonight. Okay.
Yes, family meetings are a wonderful, powerful tool that you can use. And even if you are parenting one child, or the people that you're working with and you're helping them, they're parenting just one child, you can still call it a family meeting. How important would that make our children feel to know that we're taking time to specifically schedule a specific date and amount of time to sit down and meet with them? So family meetings have three purposes. We can give information, like this is what's going to be happening. We used to have them a lot when we were fostering, because if a new kid was coming in, we often had to rearrange rooms, and birth orders could change any day when you're a foster parent. So giving information, and then planning for an upcoming event or a change. Maybe, unfortunately, somebody might be having surgery, or dad's going to be working out of town for a couple of weeks. And so we plan for what things will look like while he's gone. My favorite family meeting that we did most often is problem solving family meeting. And this is where it's kind of like processing in a way with the whole family, but you don't go through the steps. We would sit usually on the living room floor in a circle, or if it was very formal and very serious, we would sit at the dining room table. So that just like when we're teaching kids in school and we need them to listen, where we have them sit and the way we have them sit, it really affects their ability to take it seriously. So family meetings are a safe zone. Nobody is in trouble for sharing in a family meeting. And one person speaks at a time. The parent usually, or the adult in charge, names what we're going to be talking about. For instance, when we all sit down on the floor, one example would be, we're meeting this evening because I have been a little bit worried about words that I've been hearing between siblings. So I just want us to talk about what's been going on and see what we can do to fix it. One person speaks at a time. If you're working with young children, sometimes they might need an object, and then when they're holding the object, they know it's their turn. I wouldn't use a talking stick because it can become a whacking stick. So, but a Beanie Baby, a stress ball, and then they just pass it to the next person. One person speaks at a time. And there is no naming names. My children learned very young what the word anonymous means. we remain anonymous. We name the problem, not the person. We have 3 rounds in a problem-solving meeting. We identify the problem, and I usually would offer a sentence starter because that helps our kids to focus on not saying the name. So an example that I put in the handout is some of us have been, and then they would finish that. And you will be surprised because you'll name a topic, perhaps concern about the way kids are treating each other, but during that meeting you might learn, because one of mine said one time, some of us have been fake doing our chores. Another one said some of us have been taking fake showers. So you're going to learn all kinds of wonderful things in those meetings. So the first one is identifying the problem. The second one is owning the problem. Now, again, because it's anonymous, we don't go around and all of us say, I admit I'm the one that used all of your eyeshadow, or I'm the one that told your boyfriend you were talking to somebody else. That's not what I mean. There are 3 ways we own the problem. I've done some of these things. When others do things to me, I do things back to them. That's the 2 I would use primarily if I knew that I had a kid in my home who was being targeted, kind of the victim. Then I would put out there for grabs, when others do these things to me, and I wish they would stop. So the 3rd round is the solutions. And I like to call this our commitment to change, but you could just call it solutions if you want to. And then again, another sentence starter. From now on, I will. And this is hard for kids, especially young kids. You're going to have them try to say from what they will not do. For instance, they'll say, from now on, I will not hit my brother. So you're going to have to stop them. I am so glad to hear that. What will you do instead? So it's very important on the solutions, because that takes what they just owned. And maybe they were able to say, I've done some of these things, or I've been a part of these problems. So it deepens their accountability when they're able to say, from now on, I will have safe hands. I will be kind. So that's one thing I really wanted to hit on. We can't say not, because what are they going to do instead? And then at the end, I didn't put it in the handout, but I really encourage that you have a recorder for your family meetings so the kids see how very important it is. And then when these behaviors creep up again, because they will, saying they're going to have safe hands from now on doesn't mean they're never going to whack somebody. But when that happens and you're problem solving with them, you can say, remember our family meeting? So are you keeping our commitment or breaking the commitment? Yes, Peggy?
When you said recorder, you don't mean like a record the meeting.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, like a note taker.
Okay.
When we, well, it was at a time when we had 9 children living here and in our home, and they're all ours forever. Isn't that wonderful? But the person I always had write the notes in the spiral notebook was Chris, because he had ADD, and seriously, he would kind of space out. And so if I had him write things down, he would be able to stay on task and focused. So also it creates a history of your family meetings, and it's kind of fun to go back and look at later. And then at the end of the meeting, it's important to schedule a follow-up just to check in. And we would often just read the problems and say, take a vote. Are these the same, better, or worse? So if they're worse, what are we going to do to make them better? And if they're the same, we need to stay true to our commitment. And that's really about it.
Now, I have the notes right here. So Linda, I added that as you were talking. I also added your 3rd way to own the problem.
Okay.
Others do these things to me and I wish they would stop.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marty.
So
I didn't add it either.
that is added in when you get the information to send out.
And then one other thing that's awkward for kids, it's awkward for us too, but I didn't put it on there either, but we could end the meeting with compliment. And that's to go around the circle and make a positive statement. And the reason I say go around in the circle is because you're going to have siblings who are closer to each other and have those bonds already, complement each other, and you're going to have one kid that maybe nobody compliments. So if you go in the circle, that forces kids to be kind to the person who is sitting next to them. And even with my little bitty kids, we did not do hair and clothes compliments. I like your shirt. I like the color of your hair. Well, I guess that could apply to older kids who change it. But we had to do, our compliments started with, I like how, or I noticed that. And you might have to help your young kids learn how to compliment because they might not be able to think of anything. It might be a lot of words. And so you just, like, for instance, I would say, Marty, I like how you let me borrow your shirt last week. And then Marty would just say, because that was an act
Thank
of
you.
kindness. You're welcome. And then she would turn. So it just teaches so many things. But what that also does is it, as you end the meeting, it lets your kids walk away with the feeling of at least having to recognize that there is good in everyone in our house.
And Linda, I added that about the compliments as well, and some
Thank you.
examples of how to start sentence starters for compliments.
Thank you, thank you. And that was it. Did you guys have any questions about that?
Will we go over this a little bit next time?
We can start there, Peggy. I think I'd like to role play maybe a younger kid next time on problem solving, and hit the family meeting again. And if you have a family meeting, I'll challenge you out there. If you're in a situation where it's appropriate, try a family meeting. Probably some of you are already doing them, to be really honest, okay? And family meetings don't have to be problem solving. They can be planning event, planning a family outing, planning a trip. The first thing I will start with next week is, did anybody have a family meeting? And Nikki, if nobody did, then we'll put you on the spot. How about that? And then we'll do a little role play. So we'll revisit family meetings, role play, and then the additional comments or the additional focus areas next week are planning, which is, it kind of ties into problem solving that we did tonight. Consequences and celebrations will be our focus area next week.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I'm sorry, 2 weeks.
Nikki.
Nikki, you like it when I pick on you, sister.
I was just channeling your role playing that I can hear in my head. Ah, it's always me. Ah, like there's no one else in this room. God.
Oh, and I love the
Why?
word stupid. Ah, stupid. Hate this.
Hate this meeting. I don't know why I keep coming. You keep picking on me.
Well, we have 1 minute left. Does anybody have a burning question before we wrap up for this evening? And Vicki, are you going to put an evaluation in the chat, or are you going to email it?
Going into the chat as we speak.
Okay. I'm sorry. Did anybody have a question?
Well, if nobody's gonna jump on, I've got a question. Nikki, are those babies asleep now? Nicole? I'm sorry, no, Nicole.
Oh, is she still on?
They are not. I'm
Oh,
fixing their bottles. They are not.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Jenny Gardner.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Turkey Day.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone have a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving, and I hope we see you in 2 weeks.
Yes. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Linda. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Oh,
Thanks.
thank you guys
Take
so
care,
much.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Appreciate you.
Okay. You'll get the message soon.
So Peggy, I will get that out to you right now.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reason, shut off the recording, sister.
Oh, sorry.